Hi friends, this is Paul again with our typical adventures, and it is Friday, August 29th. So we are heading out of town for Labor Day weekend. We're gonna go to Palm Desert and we're gonna stay at a resort called the Westin Desert Willow Villas. And we'll take some video of the resort. We'll probably do a hotel review, but we're gonna head out there for a long weekend. We just picked up Xander. Say hello.
Hello.
And we're gonna go pick up Sissy here in a few minutes, and then we're gonna make the long drive out there. There'll probably be some traffic Friday night heading out east. It'll just be that way, but all right, we're looking forward to it. All right, we finally made it out here, and we are at the Westin Desert Willow Villas, as you can see in the background there. And I'm standing on the main road, so it's going to be a little loud as the cars are driving by. It's also super bright out, so I need to have my sunglasses on, but also it's 111 degrees. So hopefully this camera doesn't overheat. But we'll take a walk and talk about the resort. And I'll go over a few things that I've got on the list. And we can also take a look at the really nice grounds that they've got out here. So first off, we're in the Coachella Valley, which comprises or is comprised of, I don't know, maybe a dozen cities: Palm Springs, Palm Desert, Indio, La Quinta, Rancho Mirage, a whole bunch. And we are in Palm Desert. And I would say that this is the best resort out here in the entire valley, especially for families, just because of the pool complexes. There's 5 pools, I believe, 2 water slides. We'll take a look at some of that. It's got a really nice golf course that kind of intertwines throughout the entire resort. And it really is a resort, not just a hotel. I would say this is a resort. There's one of the tees here. I'm not sure what hole that is, but I hear it's a really nice golf course. I think I mentioned in the room tour portion of this, which will likely come after this intro, but the hotel was built in 2010, and there's been some minor refurbishments, but nothing major. The good thing about it is the resort is continually adding new buildings, and they have space for a few more. So if you want to get a newer room that's just not, doesn't have as much wear and tear, you want to ask for one of those newer buildings. And I think 15 and 16 are newer, 7 and 8 are newer, as compared to some of the buildings that are close to the lobby, like 1 and 2, things like that. We'll go take a look at the lobby. And if you get here before check-in, they've got a really big parking area here, parking lot, if you wanted to hang out. And they'll let you use the amenities before your room is ready. They'll give you a key. And that includes the fitness center, the pools, all of that. This looks like a valet desk, but I don't think they've got valet parking here. But this is where we always pull up and walk in to check in and whatnot. I see everybody else doing it as well. There's some of the golf carts. The ones that have the front and back seats, those are the ones that they'll come pick you up in. They're constantly driving around the resort, picking people up, taking them back and forth. So we're going to head into the lobby. Oh, nice and cool in here. And this is like a timeshare resort. You can make, people that don't own the timeshare or own a timeshare can still make a reservation through the Marriott website. But you can also do a timeshare here as well. So this is the lobby. That's the check-in area. This is really cool. They always have like ice water out here. Oh, ATM if you need cash. I want to say this may be a cashless resort, but we'll go through the market in a second. This is a business center. I don't see anybody in there. It looks like you have to have your room key to get in, but yeah, typically, I guess if you want to do a Zoom call or print out your boarding pass, I don't know who does that these days, but you could do that. And then this is a market. They've got, you know, t-shirts, hats, clothing, flip-flops. There's even bags around the corner there, but they also have quite a few food items and drinks. Ice cream too, necessary if you've got kids. Alcohol too, necessary for the adults that have kids. Lots of toiletry type items. A fair amount of sunscreen and goggles and pool toys and things like that. Also got a lot of other snack type items here. And then on the other side is like candies and things like that. And then they have some like pre-made items here and other drinks. So this market has Starbucks coffee. So you can get Starbucks type items if you like. I want to say, what are the hours? They close at 10, I believe, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I think that's 7 days a week. This area right here is outdoor kind of sitting, but I think people that are eating at the Agave restaurant right here, sometimes you'll see them sitting out there. And there's a bar in there as well. And they have specials. When you're staying here, they'll text you different chef's specials and things like that if you wanted to eat at the restaurant. This whole building right here is the Agave restaurant. And this is the pool complex. I should say one of them. This is probably what's considered the main pool. There's an upper deck pool over here. And back beyond there is a bar. So you can go over there and get drinks, sodas, juices, and you can order food. The food is made at the kitchen at the Agave restaurant, and then they just kind of carry it over. Or they'll bring it to your chair too if you're sitting in a chair. There's a water slide over there if you can see that. And then just to the left of that is kind of a, I think they call it like a sun shop or whatever. You can go there and buy floaties. They'll blow them up for you. You can rent cabanas over there, and they have a lot of activities. Today they had watermelon eating contest. They had a version for kids, and then like 11 and under, and then 11 to 18, and then 18 and over. So they had a few of those. And then they have like a water slide contest. They had an alligator racing contest where you're going from one end of this larger pool to the other on an alligator, like a blown up alligator inner tube kind of a thing. They're always having contests and activities, so lots of stuff to do for the kids. They also have a kids activities center here, which in the past, I want to say you could have your kids go here for a few hours out of the day if you wanted to do something on your own. And that's this building here. I'm not sure if they still offer that. I know a lot of resorts still have that type of thing. But they have table tennis in here, ping pong, whatever you want to call it. And then inside this room here is a pool table, air hockey, a really big battleship. And then they also have foosball. I was hoping to be able to do one long video of everything, but the camera is overheating, so we're gonna have to splice everything together. There's some tennis courts and basketball courts over there, and where you see those two people standing at the tent, that's where the main gate to the pool is from the backside here, and you can take the shuttle bus and the golf carts will take you there. You can get dropped off there. And you can pick it up there too. They're not always sitting there ready for people to get on, but sometimes you'll get lucky. And if not, you can hang out in the tent until one shows up. I should also mention it's a sprawling resort, so just know that if you want to get on Wi-Fi, you're pretty much covered in every building, at all the pool areas, and pretty much everywhere else you could go. So they must have transmitters, repeaters, whatever you need to give you a good Wi-Fi signal everywhere. And again, golf course winding throughout the resort. We'll see if we can make it down to the other pool areas and show those as well. There was a dirt lot next to this, and for the last maybe 7 months, they've been building. And I believe I read they're turning it into a surf park. And since we've been here in June, they've got that building up, what looks like lighting and a bunch of other stuff. So they're moving quickly on that. I don't think you'll be able to access it from here. You'll have to go down and around on the other side of the resort, but that's pretty cool to be able to have a surf club or whatever it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a traditional water park though. There's some more barbecues off that way. I think those are buildings 1 and 2. Those are the first ones that they built. So as far as food options go, like nearby, I would say, well, some of our favorites are going to be like LG's Steakhouse. They've got those. I think there's one in Palm Springs and one in Palm Desert down towards La Quinta, but also like Ruth's Chris, and there's a Cheesecake Factory and a few other places. Oh yeah, Applebee's. One of our favorites is called Billy Q's. It's just a hole in the wall, but sometimes those are the best. They have like pizza, pasta, sandwiches, things like that. That's right around the corner from here. There's also a place called Sherman's Deli, which I've never eaten at, but some of our family and friends have eaten there, and we know it's extremely popular. There's also like an Applebee's, a Morton Steakhouse. There's something called JT's Diner, which is just breakfast and lunch. It's pretty good. All of these are within like 1 to 2 miles from here. And then, of course, there's a ton of restaurants in the valley here. So a little further out, you can find a lot more. There's also, I don't know, some people would consider it world-class shopping. Some of it definitely is, especially like on Palm Canyon Drive and El Paseo. We've been over to both of those, and there's some really, really nice shops over there and stuff that you're gonna find in a number of places. I know there's an Apple store, there's a Tiffany's, there's things like that. That's at El Paseo Drive. There's also like the Palm Desert Town Center, Palm Desert Mall. I forget exactly what it's called, but plenty of shopping out here. It's kind of, there's these signs, they've got them everywhere. Kind of tells you where to go and where things are at. So the Quiet Pool and the Ironwood Pool are off this way. We'll see if we can make it over there before the camera overheats. 111 degrees isn't helping with that. All right, so we made it over to the Ironwood Pool. This is towards the back of the resort, and this area has 4 barbecues. Most of the locations that have barbecues are limited to 2, but there's still quite a few spread throughout the resort. plus a pool table. Kind of hang out while your food is cooking. Then this is the Ironwood pool complex. It's got a water slide there. I want to say that's the Jimmy Jammer, and they'll slide up towards the Mirage pool deck, which is the main complex. I want to say that's called the Sidewinder. But you've also got another tabletop or table tennis or ping pong table over there, plus some cornhole and a pool table. And when we were here in June, this same white lizard, who knows if it's the same, but the chances are pretty high. There was 2 of them. Looks like he's still hanging out here. Rather large too. There's no traditional cabana rentals over here, just these sort of oval contraptions you can rent. They come with a couple of chairs. But if you want cabana rentals, you got to pick one of the other pool areas. You might be able to see that shuttle bus running in the background. It runs the entire resort probably every 15 minutes. So if you don't want to walk, you can always wait out in front of your building for one of the shuttle buses to show up. You can also call and request one of the golf carts and they'll come pick you up. Sometimes that can take a little bit though. The shuttle bus is a little bit more reliable and on time. So there is, I want to say that's building, that big one over there is building 18. Don't quote me on that, but either way, just on the other side of that is another pool complex, and it's also got a kiddie pool, so one that's only like 1.5 feet deep or something like that. And it's also covered. It's got a triangular shade that covers the entire kiddie pool, so it's a good spot to hang out with the little ones, especially if you don't want them to get too much sun. And then you've got more golf course running through here. I think there's some traditional horseshoe over there. Oh, hole 14. So hole 14 is past this parking lot, and that's right next to building 7. And we're right there by that tee. And there is electric charging at a few spots. I want to say I know of 6 different spots, maybe a few more than that. I think it's a charge point and a second one that I don't remember. And you got to have accounts for both. And there is more land to build more hotel. So I think they have room for another 2 or 3 buildings. They're slow about it, but they are gradually adding on to the resort. And this is building 7 here. I think this might be building 8, but they don't necessarily go in order, so don't assume that. And then this is the quiet pool, so it is just like what it sounds. No kids, and everybody is mostly quiet. And there is also a swim lane here. Actually, there's 2 of them. And 2 more barbecues here. There's quite a few throughout the resort. I'm not going to go into the quiet pool area, but this cover here is exactly what's over the kiddie pool. And 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. operating hours, which is what all the pools are. So you can see the swim lanes there, and it's very quiet. So I think that covers most of the resort. The only thing I guess I'll mention is there are some activities, outside of the resort that you may want to do, like the zoo, which is called the Living Desert, and we are members there. We're not members every year, but we do it occasionally, and we've been 2 or 3 times over the last 12 months or so. Obviously, there's golf courses on practically every corner, so if golf is your thing, then you probably already know that. But there is a golf course at this resort as well. And then there's also movie theaters and shopping and things like that spread out throughout the valley. And I don't know if I'd call it a major airport, but Palm Springs Airport is rather large. You can get flights to a number of different areas of the country, including quite a few connections into Canada. So, very easy to get here. All right, I think that is most of the resort. I'll probably film just another minute or so later this evening so we can see the resort at night, and then I'll capture the notes that I have to show everybody. All right. Okay, let's do a tour of the room and the building in the close vicinity right here. I'll do a tour of more of the resort a little bit after this, but this is the building that we're in right here, building 7, and you can see the sign right there. There's other buildings and a pool to the left. There's actually a quiet pool. It doesn't give the age from what I recall, but your kids got to be able to listen to the rules, because if they're not quiet, they can't go in there. So probably 12 and under would be a good cutoff. And then buildings 8 and 9 are over to the right as well. So let's go take a look at the room. So we got a 2-bedroom. There's 3 types of rooms here, which is a 1-bedroom smaller villa and a 1-bedroom villa. And then the 2-bedroom is basically both of those combined. And pretty much everything is 3 or 4 floors. So there's elevators and stairs at every building. So we're in room 7105. And we also have 7106, which is the larger 1-bedroom. This is the smaller 1-bedroom. So we'll take a little look around, and I'll go through a bunch of details that I've got. I've actually got it printed out, and I'll take a little video of it, and you can pause it later down the line. All right, so the 1-bedroom smaller villa is about 600 square feet. It's got a king-size bed. It's also got a sofa bed, which is the 2 sections closer to me, and TV, rather large TV. I don't have any idea what size that is, but I'd probably say it's 50-inch, 55-inch. And then lots of storage down here. All of these drawers open up. So all the way down the line here, plenty of storage if you're bringing a lot of stuff. And obviously some chairs and tables and whatnot. So the smaller unit has a table and chairs, but it's a smaller table, 4 chairs. And then they call this a kitchenette. So it's not like a full stove. I think there's like 2 burners right there, as you can see. But it's got microwave, dishwasher, coffee pot. I think there's a toaster and a blender, you know, things like that. They're just in the cupboards. And a full-size refrigerator as well. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but when we stay at villas, sometimes the refrigerators are smaller or they don't get cold or there's just issues with it. These things get cold. They also have ice makers in them. So that's a nice added benefit. And then we've got a 1 bathroom and it's got a shower tub combo. They also give you, you know, shampoo, conditioner, body wash. And it's got one of the handheld shower nozzles plus I think they call that like a raindrop shower head. And it's got, I don't know what these mirrors are called, but you know, for getting up close. But nice and bright, give you all the towels and whatnot. There's also every unit here, because it's a villa, has a washer and dryer combo. And oddly enough, this unit, the smaller bedroom, has a larger and newer washer and dryer combo. I'll show you the one in the larger 1 bedroom in just a minute. And then, as I mentioned, every room has a king-size bed. So there you go, plenty of pillows. I can vouch for it being a comfortable, soft bed. You might have a little bit of a problem if you prefer hard beds. 2 nightstands, more storage, as you can see. And then there's also a dresser with a lot of storage in there. I think there's 3 drawers and they go all the way back and they're deep, so plenty of storage. And then that TV there, which that's even larger than the one in the living area. I'd say that's probably a 60-inch, maybe 65-inch. And then we've got a closet. And they give you hangers. There's extra bedding up there, a couple of robes. This is all standard stuff in whatever room you get. And I know there's an ironing board back there and an iron. There's also an in-room safe, as you can see right there. It's the same safe in all the units. So it's an upright safe, and I measured it. It's 17.5 by 14.5 by 5.5 inches. So now that's the inside dimensions. So there's like a lip on there, but you know, plan accordingly if you're bringing laptops and other things like that. I have a rather large 16-inch laptop, and it fits fine. All right. Oh, by the way, ceiling fan too. That's absolute necessity in the desert. All the bedrooms have ceiling fans. And then the 1-bedroom smaller unit has a patio. All of them have a patio if you're on the ground floor. And then if you are obviously 2nd, 3rd, or 4th floor, it's a balcony. This unit has, there's a golf course that intertwines throughout all these units, and I don't know what hole that is, but that's one of the tee off areas right there, tees. And it's a pretty busy golf course. It also depends on the time of the year. In the middle of the summer, people tend to play it early in the morning or late in the afternoon. Right now, it's not too bad. Oh, is that a road runner or quail? I think it's a road runner. Lots of wildlife around here, including bugs, crickets, spiders, things like that. But you get to see a lot of that stuff. How cool. He's coming up here. Anyways, so plenty of space in these rooms. This is the smaller unit. Let's go take a look at the larger unit. So because we get the 2-bedroom, it's got, the lock-off doors. Well, you have to open them, but because the key works for both sides, you can go ahead and open them. And most of the rooms have door stops. I don't know if you can see down there, but you can just kind of prop them open with that. So this is the larger one bedroom. As you can see, it's a little bit more space. I want to say, yeah, 820 square feet on this side. So the combined two bedroom unit is just added up 600 and 820. So it's 1420 total if you get the two bedroom unit. And you can see, there goes that road runner. You can see this is a larger table and chair. So it's a little bit larger, 6 chairs instead of 4. But same thing over here. You've got dishwasher. This has got a full stove. So you've got an oven plus the stovetop, you know, four spots there. Maybe it's 5. Nope. Just the 4 spots. And then all the standard stuff. There's a blender, knife set with scissors, and coffee pot. There's a toaster. The toaster's put away. This refrigerator is a little bit larger, but it's also slightly different. The freezer is on the bottom on this one with ice maker, and then the top is the refrigerator part, whereas the other one over here, freezer is on the top, refrigerator is on the bottom. And then let's just take a look at, you've got everything that you need. Same thing on the other side, on the smaller one bedroom unit. It just has fewer cups, plates, things like that. But it's got coffee cups, juice or wine and wine glasses, regular glasses, smaller plates, bigger plates, bowls, things like that. We bring a few extra things that we like to use, but it's got everything. Both units do. Same thing, silverware. I mean, you can, it's a villa, so it's got a full kitchen. If you don't want to go out to dinner, or if you just want to have a meal inside, you've got that option. There's barbecues, and I'll show some of that later. But they give you all the things you need if you're gonna go use the barbecue. And there's quite a few barbecues. It's not like they're stingy about it. If I had to guess, I'd say there's probably 24 or 30 throughout the entire resort. And then, you know, casserole dishes, and there's a pitcher and things like that. So all the standard stuff you need. Underneath there is just a trash can. Let's take a look at this. Oh, pots and pans. Yeah, pots and pans are in there. So they give you everything. And this is kind of nice. You know, it's a kitchen, so they give you some of the necessities you need: the sponge, dish soap, dishwasher pods, things like that. And it comes with, you know, whatever you need. They give you paper towels. There's things for coffee, and I think I see salt and pepper in there, and, you know, all that type of stuff. All right, so this side has, you know, TV as well, couch as well, sofa couch. So in total, what, you can get 2 people on the sofa couch, 2 people in the bedroom, king size bed. So I guess this sleeps up to 4. And then on the other side, same thing, 4. So the 2 bedroom can sleep a total of 8 people. I don't know what they rate it for, but I have to imagine that tell you it's 8. There's phones in both sides, 1 in the bedroom, 1 in the living area. So this TV, I don't know, looks like a 55-inch, probably similar to the living room area TV in the other unit. And then lots of drawers. Now we've got games and things like that in here, but lots of other storage in here as well. And I don't know if people do this. We tend to. I bring Apple TVs when we stay out here. So we've got all the typical stuff that we watch, but, you know, people could probably bring PlayStation, Xbox, or whatever, Roku's. You can hook it up with everything. No issues there. And then the bathroom is quite a bit larger. So it's got a separate shower. Same thing, rain drip, and the extra handle, shampoo, conditioner. I'm not sure, you know, that's inside. The reflection is making it look a little odd, but you can see it's a rather large shower. And then this one has a rather large tub, and it's got jets too. So if you're into that, this fills up pretty quick too. I'll just tell you that. I'm not going to turn the water on, but that water comes out pretty quick. So you can fill it up, turn the jets on, relax that way. And then the toilet is in a separate room there, and it's got a door. And then the king size bed in here, same king size bed. It's pretty plush too. And then the nightstands on either side, these are a little bit larger, a little wider, and each one has a light. And then you also have a TV in here, plus 4 drawers over in that area. And then you can see the bedroom has, whereas on the other side, the bedroom has a sliding door. This one just has windows because the sliding door in the larger one bedroom is out in the living area. There's more people golfing right there, but really nice view. You can take a look out there. This also has a closet. It's a little bit different. The other one has a sliding door. This one has doors that open up, and there's a safe over there too. And then might as well take a look at the patio area. Everything's got locks. The screen door has a lock. Sometimes we've seen it where it's broken, but there's 2 locks here. Always cautious with kids. But this is the patio area. And can't really walk out here. It's just sand or whatnot, but I hear relaxing music. I'm thinking that's the quiet pool over there. I think the music's coming from over there, but you can see there's 2 barbecues right there. I mean, you don't want to walk through the sand to get there. You would just go around out the front door, but it's right there. Beautiful view. All right, that is pretty much the room, well, both rooms. And again, the smaller unit is 600 square feet, the larger unit is 820, and then the combined, if you get the 2-bedroom, is 1,420 square feet. I think maybe the last thing we'll mention is the pricing. So it varies widely depending on the time of year. Right now, this is Labor Day weekend, so it is a holiday weekend. I'm sure they charge a little bit more, but in the summertime, generally when it's pretty hot out, 100 plus degrees every day, is actually the least expensive time of the year to come out here. I think a lot of the vacationers tend to come out from other colder areas of the country, so they tend to come out in the springtime or fall and things like that. So it's actually more expensive during those times of the year. I want to say we paid for the 2-bedroom, I want to say it was $400 a night, something like that. But I looked at some of the pricing, and in the summertime, and this is the 1-bedroom smaller unit or the 1-bedroom larger unit or the 2-bedroom unit, that price range was generally $200 to $350 a night in the summer. And then in the winter, it's $250 to $400. And then in the spring is $540 to almost $1,200 a night. Now, if you book ahead of time, I mean, generally hotels will let you book about 11 months early. You can probably get some better pricing, but they also have like AAA discount. And if you're a member of Bonvoy, which is Marriott's loyalty program, you can get some discounts that way too. So if you are a member of Bonvoy, make sure you log in before you start looking at pricing, because I've seen it where it's different when I'm logged in as a Bonvoy member or versus not logged in. But that's the pricing. So again, it varies widely, but if you want to make sure you get the best price, book ahead of time and then look for some of those discounts. And with Marriott, they have prepay options. That's going to be the least expensive, but we don't like to do that because things can tend to change. So if you just do, a AAA discount or a loyalty discount or something like that, you always have like 3 to 7 days before you go to cancel. So we always like to have that option. So keep that in mind as well. This hotel was built in 2010, and I could not see a refurbishment date, but I do know that they have done some minor refurbishments, and maybe that's why they're not listing a refurbishment date because they only did minor changes. But there used to be fireplaces here, and I think they took them out. And it was actually right where the entertainment unit is. So there used to be a fireplace below that and then the TV above it. And now they took that out, and you have the entertainment unit with storage plus the TV. So it's probably a better use of space. The fireplaces you probably only need to use in a very small time of the year in the dead of winter. But in any case, no real refurbishment. But I will say that they are continuing to build new buildings here. So, 1, 2, and building 3 and 4, those are going to be older. And if you go for some of the later ones, for example, building 15, 16, 17, those are going to be some of the newer ones. So keep that in mind, because if you want to, you can put a request in. It's never guaranteed, but if you want to request a unit, you can put that in and see if they'll give it to you. I realized that I forgot to show a couple of things and talk about a few other items. So let's take a look at the washer and dryer combo. This is in the larger 1-bedroom unit. It may not show through on video, but this is definitely an older washer and dryer, and it's definitely smaller. But as I'm looking at the space in there, it looks like they have enough room to put a larger unit in there. So maybe when these older ones die, they're replacing them with the newer units, larger units. Also on the inside of every door, this is probably standard, at least law in California, but probably other states, they show you like the immediate exit. Now, as soon as you walk out the door, you've exited the building, but obviously there's multiple floors. So if you're on a second, third, or fourth floor, it shows you how to get out of the way, get down stairs and whatnot. So we're in room 7105, 7106. So obviously second floor would be 7205, 7305 would be third floor, and so on. One of the other really nice features in this room, well, it's actually both units, is, and I turned the nightstand to the side so you could see it better, but this is really handy. Every nightstand has power, regular power, and 2 USB-A connections. So you've got that on the other unit over there, as well as the 2 nightstands in the smaller 1-bedroom. They have the same configuration. So 2 power and 2 USB-A. And I don't know if you can see it, but same thing here. This is the entertainment unit in the larger 1-bedroom. And then also, and this is really handy, in the kitchen, right below the countertop, you have power and 2 USB-A connections here too. So that's very handy. So like I said, the 2 nightstands in the bedroom for the smaller unit have that power. And then also along the wall there, the built-in entertainment unit, same thing. It's got 2 power and 2 USB-A connections. So just comes in handy when you got a lot of devices that you need to power. Another thing to mention as more golfers come by, when we check in, they'll get your phone number, and they have my phone number on file anyways because I'm a Bonvoy member, but it's really handy. They'll text you activities, different things that are happening throughout the resort, and you can also use that to say you need more Kleenex or toilet paper or something, laundry detergent. You just text that number and they'll bring it. You don't have to make a phone call. It's just so much easier that way. And you can also text them other things you might need. So if you want somebody to drive a golf cart to come pick you up and bring you up to the main pool complex, you can just use that number and text them. Although they do have bus service that runs every 15 minutes by all the buildings anyways, but so it's just really nice to have that phone number to be able to text them. All right, I think that is about it for the room tour. Okay, this is gonna close out the video. Here are some of the notes that I had. You can pause the video or snag a screenshot of it. And there's also a site map which I showed during the room portion of the review. But they give you a site map when you check in. So definitely, in summary, I really do think that this is the best resort in the whole Coachella Valley, specifically Palm Desert. Particularly if you have kids. I suppose if it's just, two adults, maybe the Ritz-Carlton would be a really nice option, but if you've got a family, this is the best resort. I would say a really close second, and we go here also, is the Marriott Shadow Ridge. There's like two sections of that hotel. It's sort of a sister property to the Westin Desert Willow Villas. There are also villas over there, and they have a section called Shadow Ridge and a section called the Enclaves. And that's a really good option as well. I'd say it's a close second. All right. Thanks for watching.